Number 12 on the ballot, the new force, Nana Kwame Bediako.
Hello, welcome everyone. For everyone, thank you for always coming back to our channel. And today I want us to discuss, the beginning signs of this administration. There are certain things that is going on that it doesn't look good at all to me. Okay, when it comes to Ghana's real problem, is much more than what people think, and that is what Nana Kwame Cheddar tried to educate Ghanaians on. Cheddar tried to let us know what we have as a country, our natural resources, and also how these international organizations have hijacked our economy by extracting these precious raw materials that God gave to us to make us rich and to be able to run our country and, escape poverty as a people. And how these multinational companies, these Westerners, are taking advantage through our presidents and stealing these rich minerals from us to enrich themselves. And these are the signs. Immediately, John Dramani Mahama, the president-elect, won. Now you see this UN showing their faces in his house. You see AU. He has had a meeting with the UN. He has had a meeting with AU. And these are the very multinational organizations that cheat this nation big time of our rich resources. And it is not a good sign at all. These are enemies of African countries. These top organizations, AU, ECOWAS, EU, WHO, World Bank, IMF, they come in as saviors. But trust me, they have never been for the good of any African nation. So when you see them showing their faces like this, it is a warning sign. And sometimes it brings doubts in the mind of we, the citizens who are enlightened, that things may not really change like that. Because if we will continue this kind of relationship, because in the conversation, you hear the president-elect telling them, we are relying on you for your support to restore our... What kind of support? These people have been around for years. So what kind of support again are we expecting from them? If they were to support us, like by now, we won't be in this ditch. Okay, these are the same people who sponsor this duopoly, get them into power, and steal from the country through these administrations, this duopoly administration. And this is the education that Nana Kwame Bediako has brought to the Ghanaian people. That has enlightened not all of us, but most of us now are enlightened, because after listening to him, you have to go and do your research. And you will understand why the nation has been stagnant for so many years. So this is what I wanted to bring to your attention in this video. This kind of relationship between the AU and UN, and they visiting the president and blah, blah, blah. It is not a good sign at all, especially from the kickstart. Like immediately he won, they are started showing their face. It is not a good sign at all. It means that there wouldn't be any drastic change. I tell you, it's just going to be this colonization continuation again. Anyway, thanks for listening to me. at this time, I would want you to watch the video and listen by yourself what transpired between our president-elect, John Dramani Mahama, and the whites, the West, the organization that visited him. Listen to what transpired, and
Yeah, but I was on a scheduled flight. I left at 11 o'clock this morning, and I was unable to make the trip. So our real purpose here is quite simple and single. It is to congratulate you personally on this victory as the now president-elect for Ghana. To thank you for the way you led your party to a successful, peaceful election here in Ghana, particularly as the international community had its eyes on Ghana, to really continue to hold up the torch of Ghana, one that many of us continue to be very proud of on the continent, as a beacon of democracy, defender of democracy, and defender of transparency. Your Excellency, your ascension to office also brings new records. The first female vice president ever to Ghana. And we know that last time you attempted this, so congratulations on that success. And also I think the fact that although there were lots of pessimistic views about how women's representation would be, we're actually seeing an uptick, slight uptick in that for the coming period. We have had the opportunity to see the 120-day plan that you have, and the UN identifies with a lot of the content in there. And through our cooperation framework, we definitely will find ways to work on this. We are proposing in January to provide a very high-level briefing priority document to yourself and your cabinet, as well as detailed priorities to all the ministers once you appoint these, to enable you to guide that process, both in terms of longer-term issues as well as more immediate things that need to be addressed. And to assure you that the United Nations stands fully with you and fully with Ghana through your presidency that is just about to unfold, and assure you of our greatest collaboration. I thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
To congratulate us, I really appreciate it. Ghana has had long-standing relations with all your agencies, and having been president before, I know the kind of work we did together. We need you more than ever before because of the crisis this country is going through. And I've had the opportunity to meet some of you, even during the campaign and before the election. And I've expressed, how I want us to work even closer together to see how we can put Ghana back on its feet. Of course, we all know that Ghana is very important in the geopolitics of West Africa and Africa in terms of upholding democracy and being a model, of peace and security. And it's something that we want to restore as quickly as possible. And so we look forward to working with you, looking at the existing programs, and we need to tweak them to meet the realities of today to do so. I believe we've had discussions with the World Bank and the IMF already, and we look to an early engagement so that we can continue to be on the same wavelength. Of course, in the campaign, several working with you, looking at the existing programs, and we need to tweak them to meet the realities of today to do so. I believe we've had discussions with the World Bank and the IMF already, and we look to an early engagement so that we can continue to be on the same wavelength. Of course, in the campaign, several, promises were made, and we need to look at what the reality is in terms of sitting together and seeing what the way forward is. Of course, one of our main concerns, and I think we've expressed it to you several times, is the issue of the humps in the debt repayments, and it's something we need to see how we can smooth it so that we don't default again. That would be more catastrophic than this current default. Aside from that, We know that in the last family season, the rainfall pattern was very erratic. And so we're anticipating that there's going to be some problem with availability of food. And so how we're able to kick in supports to ameliorate the situation is something that we would like to work on. With all the other agencies, UNICEF, UNHCR and all that, we are happy to continue to engage and see how we can strengthen and even uplift the cooperation and the work that we do together. I don't kid myself that it's going to be an easy task. It's going to be quite tough. And I anticipated that we're going to win, but I didn't anticipate the margin by which we're going to win. And that is an indication, like I said yesterday, that Ghanaians have a very high expectation. And so managing that expectation and trying to work as quickly, but I didn't anticipate the margin by which we're going to win. And that is an indication, like I said yesterday, that Ghanaians have a very high expectation. And so managing that expectation and trying to work as quickly as possible to meet those expectations is something that our team has to look at. We run on the campaign of resetting the nation because we've been in this democratic space since 1992. And the time has come when we must look at some of the issues to do with our governance, our economic management and all that, the fight against corruption and all that, and see how we can lift all that to another level so that we continue to maintain the confidence and faith, especially of our youthful population. A lot of them are losing faith in the whole democratic thing because they think it's not working for them. It's not creating opportunities for them. So those are all things that we need to look at. We're happy we have our first female vice president. She's not only opened the door, but she's going to keep the door open so that others can follow in her footsteps. Happily, this last parliament has passed the affirmative action law. And so we're going to abide by it. Even in the run-up to the campaign, we made a promise that we're going to reserve 30% of appointments for women. But the affirmative action law gives benchmarks for increasing that. And so we're going to have to work to make sure that we meet those benchmarks. And so we count on your cooperation, and I'm happy about the briefing that we'll get as soon as we have the team together. I made a promise that we're going to have our cabinet meeting within 14 days of the swearing in. And so we'll know that team as early as possible. So even before they've been vetted and sworn in, we can start the engagements that are necessary so that we have a smooth transition and that we continue from there. So thank you again very much. Yes, I look forward to working with you.
Permit me, Mr. President, just to respond to one of the points that you made about alignment. Indeed, when I arrived here in 2021, we took a very strong decision that we had to align the UN cooperation framework with the governance cycles of Ghana. And so we took the unprecedented move of having a 3-year cooperation framework which ends in 2025. Yes. And the prime purpose of doing that was to ensure that as the new government comes in on January the 7th, we have a year to work with you in the National Planning Development Commission and the priorities of the government to ensure that we are aligned. So our new cooperation framework will be worked on and is already being worked on now. We're doing the review. The assessments and contextual analysis will be done through the first half of 2025, and the new cooperation framework will be written up in the second half, which means that it must be totally aligned with the government priorities of the day. So that on signature in January 2026, we are working with you and the priorities of the government of Ghana. So this is the mandate that came from the Secretary General, that our accountability must shift away from a vertical, upward looking accountability to a more horizontal facing one that looks at the countries that we're working in and ensuring that we are delivering for them, not on top of them. So I want to assure you that the process is already in place to ensure we fully align. Thank you again, Mr. President. I'm invoking Sankofa because I didn't introduce myself, although I know you know me.
Of course.
I am Charles Abani, the UN Resident Coordinator, overseeing 25 resident agencies and nearly another 20 who don't have offices here but come here regularly. The UN in Ghana is one of the most visited places by the UN, and the footprint of the UN is quite extensive.